Yep. That's what we doing. There's some unsavory characters out here, so we're gonna go inside for a little bit. Oh yeah. Trailer trash, 110. You know me. It's been full since summer. You thought this is still revenge for taking down my pissing video. Fuck you, YouTube. Okay. Yeah, if you ever wonder why I do that video fucking piss, it's because it's revenge. I had a video called The Pissing, and motherfucking YouTube got rid of it. So now the pissing isn't slowly in all my videos. There we go. Bed all made. Let me turn the lights off. Don't you worry. I got a perfect view right here. Say hello. Alright. I got a few hours till I gotta do deliveries again, so this Hobbit thing is so big that I had to split it up into two different parts. But yeah, the whole thing with it's like they have the characters down too. Character stories, development are down to the point they have the characters down to the point where I actually care about the characters in the end. And it's like, oh, the first time I ever went through those, I didn't really, first time I ever seen something like that, it was like, I didn't care much about, but when I was actually paying attention, I was like watching, and now, there's like a lot of shit that I've seen lately that's been like really bad, and I barely remember it. But The Hobbit, every movie I've watched The Hobbit, I've remembered like every scene basically. Like down to the moment where it's like the world is so amazing too. And just after being disappointed with content for so long, they have like mountains that are also creatures. They got like worm creatures, they got giant spiders, dragons, they got trolls, orcs, they got these other things that are kind of trolls. They had so much shit to offer. And one thing really awesome about the Hobbit movies is it's like at first the Bilbo character, I thought that he was just gonna be a strag-along character, and he actually became a character that I actually wish that they had more stories about. Because after The Hobbit ended, it was just like Bilbo just spent all of the rest of those years just kind of chilling. And it's like, holy shit. At first dwarves invaded his home in the first movie, and at the towards the end they went through so much that I began to actually love those characters. It's like, some of them I still have trouble remembering their names, but there was one who was old, and he had served with Thorin's father in like in like a kingdom, the fucking war, sorry. And this guy, Azog, I'm pretty sure his name is, and he's an orc. This motherfucker was Thorin's reverse Flash. This guy was a perfect fucking rival to Thorin. This guy full on killed like his father in front of him, and then Thorin was about to die, and then he cuts off his fucking hand. When I seen that, and I was like, oh, that's some Winter Soldier shit. Cuts his hand off. The fucking orc replaces it with a blade. So cool. As soon as I saw that, I was like, this dude's gotta be the main villain. And then Sauron appeared, and I was like, oh shit. He's working for Sauron. Everybody has to work for the big bad, but it's like there's not many things nowadays that when I watch it I get actually invested in. And it's like You know, when Thorin fucking died, I was like, no. I actually was like so fucking depressed. You know, he saw him die, and I was like, oh my god. The shit that this guy went through, you know, it's like his grandfather died, he fought the guy who killed, like, his family, and then he, like, you know, was forced out of his home by a dragon, forced to live on the streets. You know, they're homeless, living on the world with, you know, no home. And then, you know, movies later, they come back. The guy finally gets his kingdom. He goes and starts going insane, just like his father, you know. Starts going insane, and it's crazy, because you think, oh my god, is this how Thorin's gonna end? It's just him going crazy, and that's it. But no. He quickly redeems himself, because he proved earlier in the series that he is not his grandfather. Fuck his grandfather. He went insane and never cured himself ever again, so it's like, you know, it's amazing. He cured himself, went back into battle, and it's like, it's so fucking bullshit that so many of them die, you know, and it's like, it's so messed up. I mean, it's like, you know, of course it's gonna die, it's a war, but it's like, usually in stuff that's like, you know, fantasy type stuff, it's kind of, I mean, when most people write it, it's like expected that people are gonna, you know, live happily ever after. The heroes are gonna always win, but that's the thing. The heroes didn't really win at first, you know. And the shit with the wizards, too, that shit was cool. Shit with Gandalf and Saruman, seeing Saruman was awesome. See him before, and he said, he was like, I'll go take care of Sauron. And then he's like, never does. Because, you know, later in the series, he like, it's a spoiler, I guess, for Lord of the Rings. But if you're watching this, it's a spoiler already. But you know that he like turns evil and he joins Sauron too after Azog gets killed. And there were so many moments between the fight of Thorin and Azog that I thought that they were like, each one was gonna die. And I like how it wasn't just like a generic battle. Like Azog chose the weirdest fucking weapon for a final battle. You know, ball and chain, which is very strange to choose. And yeah, I don't know what the hell those people were talking about, because if you don't like the Hobbit movies, right, if you think that they're bad, then you must hate good content, because that is what good content looks like. You know, it's like, that shit is, it lords over Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones is like nothing compared to Lord of the Rings. You know why? Is because here's the problem. I'm gonna ignore the fact that Game of Thrones basically is a ripoff of Lord of the Rings, because I don't really care about that shit. Everything's a ripoff of something else, one way or another. But the point is, it's the shit that does it for me is the fact that when I watch Lord of the Rings, I don't have to feel uncomfortable watching it at any point in the movie. You know, it's like I can watch it with my family, I can watch it with my friends, and I don't have to watch, you know, Game of Thrones is basically just porn. You know, it's just watching porn and murder. It's like watching Saw and porn at the same time. And if you want to watch this shit, there's the internet, you know, and I'm sick of that shit. People putting all that shit in our content, you know. I don't give a shit, like, how Bilbo's came to be and fucks his wife and everything. I don't give a shit about that. What I do give a shit about is the big story shit. The shit that changes their fucking world, you know, and like changes them personally. And if you have to mention that, make it off screen. You know, it's like the relationship between the Keeley and the elf chick. That's another thing. That's another thing I forgot to mention. So, you know, Legolas, I think he's supposed to be in the Lord of the Rings series, like, later on. But the fact that, man, he was such a good fucking fighter. And, I noticed people were complaining. They were like, you know, obviously physics doesn't work the way that It seemed he was like the ground was falling beneath him, and then all of a sudden he can just run on it as it's falling, even though there's no energy. That he's like creating energy out of nowhere. But I want to remind you that it's a fantasy world, and you don't know. Maybe he's got levitating elf magic. It's little shit like that people care about that I don't give a fuck about. It's like I don't give a shit about that. It's a magic world. If a character dies, I still have faith that they're probably gonna come back. It's like I don't want to. It's amazing watching the characters actually be the characters. I'm not watching people act. I'm watching characters go through developmental stages, and that's what I want. That's what needs to happen. That's what good content is. Watching the characters go through their stories. Like the dwarves, they felt like they were completely fucked. They had no choice, so wherever they were, they had to make like a home. And the fucking things that they found along the way is crazy, Almost get eaten by trolls, killed by orcs. There were several times where I thought that Thorin was gonna die, but I thought that it was like a fake out. You were like, oh, he's gonna die, and in the end, he was gonna survive, and they're all gonna live happy ever after. But no. Like, whole towns of people die. And they don't get revived. They just die. And it's crazy. It's like I got so hooked onto the Thorin character, I almost teared up a little bit when he died. And I was like, oh my god. Yeah, I just didn't see that coming. So I highly recommend the Hobbit movies. It's like, Star Wars used to be my thing. Till they've been raping it on and off and on. So I've been giving it the amount of attention that it needs. I haven't seen the new Mandalorian shit, but when I do, I don't know. Maybe I'll talk about it. I don't know. But Mandalorian shit's the only good Star Wars content nowadays. Everybody loved the Andor show. I don't know why. You already know. I already did my review on that one. It's just an average show. It's like Star Wars is controlled by people who love money and they don't care about good stories, so all their stories are gonna be garbage. They should stick to cartoons because that's what they're fucking good at. Live action Disney shit is not good shit. It's bad. But Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, top tier shit. That shit is like better than most of the shit I've seen. And I've watched a lot of people watch Game of Thrones and be like, loving it and everything, but it's just like I can't get into it. It's too much fucking sex shit. Too much sexual content. And maybe too much gore. When you have characters that you love and you're watching them die, that guy was just, when he was writing characters off just to get surprise shock out of you, and then you're surprised when the series ends, it's not how you expected. Legit. The guy killed off characters that he made every 5 seconds. Clearly the guy doesn't give a shit. But, yeah, I guess that's all I have to say about The Hobbit. The Hobbit movies are awesome. And, that's what good content is. And then next I'll watch the Lord of the Rings movies, and we'll see how I feel about, I'll keep you updated, I guess. I suppose. Friend. Alright. Bye, bitch.